The image you are looking at is the replacement of Yuki Tsunoda, potentially. Now, he's done everything Yuki Tsunoda did to get to AlphaTauri, but he's now 21, is still in F2, is in third position in the championship. Now, Yuki Tsunoda, when he got the seat at AlphaTauri, finished third in the championship with 3 wins. This guy already has 3 wins, but there's 8 races left, and he's not that far outside of second or even for first place, but he probably won't finish first. The other thing that's really the nail in the coffin to Yuki Tsunoda is this is also a Japanese driver. Now, it's important in Formula One to have a Japanese driver at your team. Honda, which is the biggest supplier of the engine to Red Bull, and make no mistakes, will be helping them in creating their engine when they do it in-house. Trust me, there'll be a lot of Japanese guys, a lot of Japanese resources put together. They know how to make some of the best racing and regular car engines in the world, and it's always important to have a good relationship by having a Japanese driver there. Now, Yuki Tsunoda is in his 3rd season at AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri is a sister team which expects you to either put in the results or be replaced by another person who eventually could be called up to Red Bull. It's a development team. He's on his 3rd season, was just beaten by Daniel Ricciardo somehow, even though Ricciardo got into a crash on the first lap. And Yuki Tsunoda, and this is important to note, is not respected in Formula One. Formula One has a history of looking at people who have kind of not outrageous personalities, but are outspoken, aggressive, hostile to a certain degree. They do not play well in Formula One. Formula One is a European-styled sport and a European-styled personality type, okay? You can't be yelling, you can't be, arguing, and he's got this little fireball energy about him that gets a lot of people to disrespect him, because I still think he's got great pace. I don't think he's consistent. That's his biggest problem. He's inconsistent. He got beaten by Pierre Gasly twice, but most people already assumed he was a better driver than Yuki Tsunoda. Now, he got lucky with Nick de Vries, who had no ability to function in Formula One, was one of the worst drivers in Formula One history, which was crazy because of his huge resume being an F2 champion and winning Formula E. But Iwasa has done everything Yuki Tsunoda has already done to get to the seat. He's a younger driver. He's a guy who will be happily put in by Helmut Marko, Christian Horner, all the guys at Red Bull, because now they essentially have somebody who's a carbon copy of Yuki Tsunoda, and oddly enough from the same country as him, which helps the Japanese relationship, and they could easily move him into that seat because, first of all, the car's not getting any results anyways. They're going to finish last in the championship, probably for the first time in a long time for the sister team of AlphaTauri. They've already said that Helmut Marko said, we're pretty much going to change them back to the Toro Rosso name to have a closer relationship with us, and what we're essentially going to do is get the car to be designed essentially as close to Red Bull as we can without it being illegal and against the rules, so that we can have a car that's at least, up in the middle of the pack and could help us potentially when we need some of our cars to get by. We need some data for how certain tires are going, because you can't really base the data and the pitting positions and the understanding of how a car is developing when you have the best car on the grid in the Red Bull and the worst car on the grid in Toro Rosso, because a lot of their data is not going to help a team that's so much significantly faster than them. This is why Iwasa will be put in. If he's not put in, I really think he'll be put in by the end of the season. They're growing short on Yuki Tsunoda, no pun intended. And if Daniel Ricciardo actually beats him, he'll be replaced. Now, Liam Lawson was promised a seat at AlphaTauri, which I think is guaranteed to him at least at the 2025 season, if not the next season. So he potentially could be put in earlier, but I think they'll want to maintain this Japanese structure in the team. This guy's very good. He's current. He's got some wins. Who knows? He could win the championship in F2. If he does, that will really solidify him. And if he can get second in the championship, that will greatly put him in a position to replace Yuki Tsunoda. So Yuki Tsunoda is on, unless he can put together some results in a car that's probably the biggest piece of shit on the grid. If he can't do that, it's over. I think he'll be gone by this season. There's already talks about him not performing. He barely got this season's car, and it's going to be his 3rd season in a team that's known to say, either put in the results or we're getting rid of you. So that's the thing right now. Godspeed to him. But Iwasa most likely will be in the AlphaTauri seat by the end of the season, if not next season.